I'm Tosh Taylor.
And I'm Jenna Morton, and this is going to be an episode that Tosh and I are going to have so much fun with because we are talking about one of our favorite topics, books. And in particular, we're talking about kids' books, and we're talking about it kind of under the umbrella of Family Literacy Day, which is celebrated in Canada every January. We often talk about books and why we read them and why we read kids' books and how much we love them on the show. So we are going straight to the source this year. We're going to have a deep dive conversation in the 23 minutes that we have with Hilary Glover from Indigo. Hello and welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
And we have Lindsay Gauthier joining us from Indigo Chapters right here in Moncton at the store. Hello.
Oh.
Oh, I am so looking forward to this because I adore books and kids' books especially. And Hilary, I'm wondering if we could start with you kind of from that high up level. Tell us a little bit about how kids' books factor into kind of the overall Indigo family.
And this is because I work in kids' books, but I think kids' books are really the heart of what Indigo is. Like every kid who starts reading is somebody who's going to be reading for the rest of their lives. Like they're the kid who's reading is going to be the adult who loves books, who writes books, who's in books, who's reading books to their children. So like it's the beginning and the genesis of everything. So it's right at the heart of everything that Indigo is. From our stores to our Indigo Love of Reading Foundation, all of that is about inspiring literacy in kids. So it's like right at the heart of the whole thing.
I love that. And I certainly think you feel that. I know when we walk into the store in Moncton, my kids to this day, who are now teenagers, are like beelining for the kids section still to see, oh, what have they changed with the display and what's different? And it's just always so much fun as you come up. So Lindsay, kudos to you and your team and everyone at the store, because it really does have a very inviting vibe when you get there.
It's my favorite place.
Tell us a little bit about, the space in the store and Lindsay, how it's about more than just books. Hilary kind of touched on that, but can you expand a little bit about what the kids section is like at the store?
It's great when I take a new employee out on the sales floor for the first shift here. We talk about how in the kids department, there's almost as many things as there is in all the rest of the store. It's just so condensed in here. And that can be a little scary, but it's also where all the fun stuff is. And I'm super hands-on. I love to bring people around and show them toys and talk about books and, read them little bits of things and show them pictures. In Moncton, actually, technically, our store falls under Dieppe. We're in a unique spot, too, for the bilingual status. We sell almost as many French kids' books here as we do English kids' books. And so a lot of our experience here is trying to balance that so that both languages feel like they're being equally represented. And when we do events and things, too, there's always that extra level where we're trying to provide an event in two languages at once. This last year, we had a little mini reno in the summer. And we worked really hard to make it so obvious when you walk in our kids department that books are first. So that little like C shape of books, our alcove, we call it, where our bestsellers and our deals and our big shiny new things are, is like right in the front. You absolutely can't miss it. And that makes my heart sing that it isn't just toys. It's like books at the forefront. And it kind of sets the pace as you walk through the kids department. Yes, we do carry puzzles and games and stuffies and fidget toys, but we are a book first space.
Yeah.
Well, and a lot of those things that you have are tied to the books as well. They're not just toys. They are characters from books. And it's always so fun to go in. I'm wondering, Hilary, can you kind of walk us through a little bit, a very condensed version of what it takes for an author to end up on those shelves as you walk into the kids section?
Oh, absolutely. So we have nothing to do with the publishing. So all of the part where they're writing the book, they're getting into the book, they're getting published. But what happens when we first encounter a book, it's usually months and months and months and months before it ever comes out on the shelves. And we work with publishers all across Canada, all across North America, for that matter, who sell in their books to us. So what happens is right now I'm being sold in books for next summer. So like July, August, even starting to see a little bit of September. And what happens is sales reps from the publishers will come in to meet with me. They'll bring their list of books, their catalogs, and then they'll talk about what they think will match with our customer. You know, the things that are the biggest books coming out, the things that they think are just really very Indigo, all that kind of thing. And so that's the first sort of conversation we have. That's how the first inflection of the book getting into the store is. And from there, we take all of that information. We start to craft what we think we're going to buy for each month, what's going to be on the shelf, because we can't buy everything. There's so much publishing. So we really focus in on what we think is going to work for our customer. We really make sure we're getting everything that's Canadian, everything that's about us, that's in there first, and then sort of taking what's the best and the brightest from everywhere else. So that's sort of how it starts. And then after we've seen the stuff with the publishers, we spend a lot of time reading, a lot of time paying attention to what people are talking about, like in book reviews and the zeitgeist online, everything like that. And then I think one of our big pieces of sort of secret sauce about how we figured out is people like Lindsay. So we hear from the stores all across the country all the time about what kids are asking for, what they're excited about, what they're looking for, and we use all of that to help inform what's going to be the assortment in the stores as well.
Excellent. That actually led into my question, because one of my favorite things about Indigo is how you will showcase local. So when it comes to, because Hilary, you're not here in the greater Moncton area. So when it comes to bringing in local authors' books, how do they go about that? Do they approach Lindsay first?
There's sort of two things that can happen, 2 or 3 things that can happen. If they're being sold by a sort of a national publisher, I'll see them and sort of bring them in for the country. And then we actually have a category manager who's located on the East Coast who does a lot of sort of local work and local assortment with the smaller local publishers or even the big publishers to make sure that those books that are by local authors are really highlighted and stuff there. And then after that, there's also people like Lindsay, and the local authors can absolutely approach their store, whether they're published by a publisher or self-published, and they can come in and talk to Lindsay. And I'm sure she could tell you a little bit more about how that sort of local process works.
It's a consignment program. So authors often will come in. They want to know how to get their book in the store. I've been at our store for about 5 years now. I'm very boastful that Moncton actually has the #1 spot for our whole company for consignment sales as of our last quarter. I've worked really to get us there. St. John, New Brunswick is a close second, and they were in first for a while, but I finally got them. And it's really great. I get to look through. I need to make sure that the books meet our vision, right? Like there's certain topics and things that we don't really want to represent in the store, but we're pretty open-minded, I must say. The rules are very, very limited. And so I get authors like this one, which is a local teacher and author who tries to talk about in-class issues. So these books are talking about dyslexia and about problems with brain organization, executive function disorder, where kids have problems putting things in the right order in their head. So it's a little girl learning how to use a checklist and a little boy learning how to tell stories through pictures. So I love these products. I got them signed up. We had a whole bunch of paperwork, and then I'm able to carry their books in the store, and they get paid directly through Indigo once a month for any sales here. So love things like this.
Fantastic. And I love, it is very obvious when you walk into the store. And I think, in most of the Indigos that I've been in, there is usually a local section. And certainly I know, here in Moncton, in Dieppe, not only is there the local author section and the Canadian author section, when you go into the kids section, that's repeated again specifically for there. And I think, Lindsay, that since you're in the store, maybe you have a few more titles and authors that you want to give a quick shout out to that are currently kind of on display there.
Yeah, I have 2 authors that are actually going to be joining us for part of our March break. So I've been talking to Marissa Furry, who's actually in Ontario, but she's traveling through, and she's going to be stopping through here. And her really sweet book is about adopting a kitten out of an alleyway. So like a very simple read-at-home story would be a really good one to introduce taking home a new animal into a household. So she's going to be coming in on the Saturday, I think it's the 7th of March, the end Saturday of March break, and she'll be doing a little craft with us and reading her story aloud. And I love when I get those emails from authors that are traveling through, and I always make sure to squeeze them in and make a spot, especially during March break when we're trying to get kids authors, which brings me to Ashley Ann Clark. So she's from Nova Scotia, and she has this beautiful book that's actually done using collage and seaweed. So the pictures are actually done using really good photographs of seaweed that she finds. And we're going to be doing a craft with kids where they have black paper and white markers and some collage materials and making their own nocturnal animal scene. So she's going to be here on the first Saturday of March break. And yeah, getting to work with these authors and not just have them at a table in the store, but actually have like a hands-on activity to promote their book and introduce them to our customers is so much fun.
It's fantastic. And it's so powerful, I think, when kids especially can see the author of a book that they've read before, even, it makes it so real that this is a job. This is a thing that they could do someday.
It's really magical. It's really magical when kids get to meet an author that they love or like get introduced to a new book through a local author. It's amazing.
Jenna and I had the pleasure. Sorry. Go ahead, Lindsay.
Of the ghost that was a quilt. Do you guys have
real?
She's from like 40 minutes up the road from here. I was like starstruck when she came in to sign her book.
That's amazing. Amazing. Back during the pandemic, Jenna and I were doing the show solely on Zoom. So we thought, we'll just give it a shot. And we reached out to Tracy West, the Dragon Masters author. And she is the kindest person in the entire world. But both
one of my favorite interviews ever.
Yeah, Jenna's twins were reading the book at the time, the book series at the time, and my oldest was reading it. So for the kids to get to see her, even though it was just through Zoom, like it was amazing. And still, my daughter is now almost 14 and still talking about it. So.
Yeah, and Tracy's still getting books on the bestseller list.
Yeah. Oh my gosh,
series is fantastic.
Dragon Masters is so good. My son loves it too. My son absolutely adores it. She did an event with us in Newfoundland last summer. Actually, it was really, really fun.
Oh, that would be fantastic. Cool. She was just the kindest, most gregarious person when we interviewed her. It was so much fun, and it was definitely a highlight of those days in our family as well. Talking about that kind of idea of like what are the trends. So if someone's listening, they're, I know we have a lot of grandparents as well as parents who listen and watch the show, and they're like, okay, how do I know what to get for a kid? What are some of the hot trends right now? And Hilary, maybe we'll start with you and then move to Lindsay.
Sure. I mean, I think in terms of the books that kids sort of choose for themselves, that they want to read for themselves, funny is always a really, really good place to start. Kids love to laugh. They love when a book can make them laugh. And I think it's just such a great starting point for getting a kid into reading is to get them through laughter. So I think funny books, silly books always sell very, very well, all the way back to like Robert Munsch, who's still our best-selling kids Canadian author. After all this time, he's still #1 every single year. So I think making them laugh is a really good place. And if you're not sure what they're going to like, come in via an interest. Like if you're not sure which author they like or which series, like think about what they like to do, what they're interested in, and go for a book in that direction too. And I think that can never steer you wrong. And then in terms of formats, our best-selling format right now for older kids is graphic novels. Kids love a graphic novel. I think sometimes there's still a little bit of a stigma around there where parents and grandparents are like, oh, a graphic novel, but don't feel that way. Like there's such a great way to read. There's such a great way to get yourself involved in a story. And kids love them. They sell very, very well.
On my side, I read the latest from Melanie Watt yesterday. I think 15 Facts About Capybaras. Melanie Watt is Montreal. That's where I also grew up. So I'm always fangirling over her and Scaredy Squirrel. And as I was reading her facts about capybaras, it starts off super serious and then goes super silly. And I think that kids like that clever angle where like they have to sort of read between the lines and figure out where it goes derailed and gets to the silly point. Don't Trust Fish was along the same lines where it was like really super serious facts, but then also ridiculous sort of anecdotes and silly responses to things. So I think kids they want that cleverness where they have to figure something out themselves within a story, and yeah, the silliness is always going to be a big win. I know with a lot of local books that the angle tends to be more about like you're visiting the Maritimes. Like Nimbus Publishing does a lot about seaside adventure, so like what you might find on the beach, and they're trying to hit those people who are coming through who want like a keepsake for in town. I'm a Big Rig is another really cute one that talks about snow removal and mountains and how we move things around in this part of the world. And they're so good for that. Yeah, I think so. There's always like the people who are coming in to buy something silly, and then the people who are coming in to buy something as like a memento of having been here in the Maritimes. And they're two different camps.
I love that idea though of books as, like souvenirs really of where you've been, especially for kids. That's such a great way to think about it. And I know, yeah, over the years, certainly we've had, I can remember, family coming to visit us, say from Saskatchewan, and bringing, one of those alphabet books, like S is for Saskatchewan. And I love those. Oh, Lumberjack's alphabet. Oh, fantastic. I don't know that one. I'm like, oh, you're just going to add all these books to my list that I want to have.
I've got them here. Come see me.
Well, on that note, I'm wondering, if you want to give a quick shout out, what is a must-have kids book for you, whether it's current or something from your childhood? What is a Canadian kids book that you think just has to be on the shelf in a house?
Hilary, do you want to?
Oh, sure.
Do you want to?
I can go first. I think in terms of a classic all-time favorite, I've already mentioned Robert Munch, but he was like the person of my childhood. So The Paper Bag Princess was like my Canadian best favorite. Oh my God, is that a tattoo? Amazing. It was my absolute favorite Canadian kids book when I was a child. I had a record. Dating myself a little bit here. I had a record before they were retro of Robert Munch reading them out loud, and it was the first story on the record. And I listened to it until that record was so scratched up. So it's my absolute all-time favorite, like Canadian picture book. And then in terms of something a little newer, last year there's a wonderful Canadian author named Christy Jackson, and she wrote a book last year called Touching Grass. It's a novel called Touching Grass about a little boy who is a big gamer, and he ends up having to go to a culture camp in the prairies to sort of reconnect with the land and stuff. And I loved it because it's about things that all kids are worrying about right now, like am I on screens too much? Do I need to get outside? But it did it without being like everything on a screen is bad, everything outside is good. It's a much more nuanced and really, really funny take on things, and I loved it. It was my favorite book that I read last year that was Canadian.
I'm going to pick you guys up and take you quickly to show you mine.
Oh, yeah.
Very fun.
We're going on a field trip. So my favorite Canadian book is called Carson Crosses Canada. So this one follows a little grandmother and her dog, and they're driving across Canada through the prairies, through the mountains, into the Maritimes. And you get her view and her story, but then you also get the dog's impressions of each of the places that they stop through. And at the end, there's a map that shows you all of Canada. And so I'm from Montreal, and then I lived in Alberta, and now I live here. And my family back in Montreal, I have a niece and nephew who really always want to come and visit. They're like, can we go over to your house? I'm like, well, kid, you're going to have to get in a car and sit there for 12 hours because that's how far it takes. And so getting to have a story like that where I could show them like exactly where I am in terms of Canada and talking about like the distance was such a cool one. And I think that our diverse country is so well celebrated by showing all these different areas and how different they are and how cool it is. So I think that every Canadian child should have Carson Crosses Canada on their bookshelf.
I love that. That's a beautiful looking book. And I noticed on the shelf right next to it was one of my favorites of recent years, The Pony and the Starling, which of course is a New Brunswick author's book. And we've had Jen on the show to talk about it. And it's gorgeous. Her writing is so amazing. And we're so lucky that we have a lot of fantastic authors here on the East Coast, especially when it comes to kids' books.
Yeah, absolutely. When it comes to the kids section, my kids, maybe it's because the books are showcased closer to the front, but the first thing that they always go to check is the top picks, the staff's top picks. How hard is it, do you think, for the staff to actually sit down and go, oh no, I have to pick a favorite this month, or do you think? Yeah.
I hope it's really fun. I hope it's not fun instead of daunting. I mean, I know I worked in the stores in Toronto for 10 years before I moved to the home office, all through university, all through grad school. And creating staff picks was one of my favorite things to do. It's such a great way to like get your voice out there, to connect with your customers, to connect with your local community too. So like doing staff picks was always such a joy. And at the home office, we do a staff pick of the month that's picked sort of more centrally too. And we love picking those so much. And actually, spoiler alert, for March, it's possible that the Capybara book's going to be our staff pick of the month for picture books because we think it's such a hoot. So yeah, it's one of the joyous parts of the job, I think. I don't think it's ever daunting to pick a staff pick. I think it's great. Like all the way from Heather's picks all the way down. I think we all love sharing what we love with everybody.
Is it your favorite part of the job, Lindsay, when you guys get to do the staff picks?
Oh, well, I love this time of year where it gets a little quieter and I can actually go up and down the stacks and pick up books and enjoy them. Like the new one by the Burlings. This is Monster House Publishing, and it has all these really super beautiful illustrations. And it's not all times a year where I get time to go and look at the books. So yeah, definitely getting to go through and read some. We do a lot of TikTok little videos of me talking about new books I found. And so yeah, I really love finding new exciting books.
I really love your TikToks. And I say that as someone who does not enjoy TikToks and Reels in general.
She does not. If she likes something, you should be very impressed. Yeah.
I love that you can see the joy that you're having in your job when you do them, and then the fact that it's in a bookstore and you're walking the shelves. I'm just like, that just sounds like a dream to me. I'm very jealous of you both.
In one shot, so sometimes you get me like stumbling through something or laughing, or you hear a coworker laughing, and like I like the realness of that.
I agree. That actually is a great place for us to leave it. Speaking of your TikToks, how do people find you and those fabulous TikToks? We'll start with local, and then Hilary, if you want to tell people how they can follow along with the national office too, that'd be great.
So Chapters Moncton, we are on Facebook, we are on Instagram, and we are on TikTok, and all of our handles are always just Chapters Moncton. And it's a great place for us to share when we have local authors in, and really soon we'll get to share what's happening for March break. So please do check in with that. I'm really looking forward to this year's March break.
And nationally, you can find us at indigo.ca, and you can find Indigo both on Instagram and on Facebook, and Indigo Kids on Instagram and Facebook. I love our Instagram. I think if you go track that down, you'll have a very good time and see some very fun stuff there.
I love it. And I love all the work that you guys are doing to really promote not just literacy, but the joy of reading for all ages. So on behalf of all the Canadians out there who love reading, thank you for that. And thank you for taking the time to spend some time with us on the show.
Well, thank you for having us.
And thank you all for listening and watching. And a reminder that we will be back again with you next week with a brand new episode.
See you
Until
then.
Take care.